Yo, what's up, homies? Today we're talking about corruption, and I'm going to give you examples of how Google has failed. Charging a corporation like Google with a crime is a highly complex process involving government authorities, not private individual. It requires demonstrating that individuals in a position of authority acted with criminal intent to benefit the company. So if they demonetize your 30,000 video channel but still continue to play commercials on your channel, then they have profited off of you. It requires demonstrating that individuals in a position of authority acted with criminal intent to benefit the company. So the company profits, not me. This is being done all over YouTube to increase Google's revenue. So they have people who were formerly staff or have been affiliated to report channels as often as possible to create a ratting system. That's why there's a report button, is actually for Google to profit. And I'll explain. I've reported channels that, promote alcohol, sex to minors, and they didn't age restrict their streams. This channel went from 20,000 subscribers all the way up to 600,000 subscribers with the same content live streaming every day. And every day I reported that channel to Google. They never did a thing. And this was excessive drinking, like drinking straight vodka, guzzling 10 beers with no age restriction. So children see this, right? There's something called alcohol poisoning. Now, as a concerned citizen for the populace, I took it upon myself to take action. And I knew this channel was being inflated by YouTube and Google itself. Okay? When? It's probably her blowjob name, Cookie. She's the queen of blowjobs, Cookie. You can't make this up, folks. Despite the earlier suppression of stories, the Winnipeg Free Press has since published extensive and critical coverage of Nygaard. This change came after Nygaard's empire began to crumble in 2020. Due to the sex trafficking and racketeering charges and following reporting by other outlets, what the fuck? Next, Nygaard was sex trafficking and racketeering charges? What the fuck? High prominent police in Winnipeg are best friends with a dude who sex traffics and racketeers? What the fuck have I uncovered? What the fuck have I uncovered? I've been watching the Discovery special Unseemly, the investigation of Peter Nygaard, and in episode 1, there is a statement from Rudy Redekop, the former editor of the Winnipeg Free Press, who, when publicly commenting on the series of stories the Winnipeg Free Press ran on Peter Nygaard in 1996, but then they suddenly made the decision not to run any further stories about him because of external pressure from high-position Winnipeggers. It was a long time ago. Things were different. And It's since come out that high profile politicians and police were involved in the pressuring of the Winnipeg Free Press. Just so you know, that is disgusting. So the police took not only Aboriginal people, but they also protect sex traffickers, racketeering, and rapists. What I'm wondering is, have these high position people ever been identified? Is there a way to find out who they are? In my opinion, they are basically responsible for a lot of harm and destruction and should be held accountable in some way, because he was given a free pass. Who knows, his history could have changed. How history could have changed. At least as far back as the early 90s, a prominent sexual assault victim assistance program maintained a separate file just to handle all the calls about Peter Nygaard. It was one of the worst kept secrets in the city's history. Everybody fucking knew. Oh my God. The agency kept files away. The agency kept files, always offered support to victims who went to the police or to testify in court. They'd have a counselor accompany the complaint to the police court, etc. Very important, because you know what the police officers and defense attorneys can be like with sexual assault victims. Multiply that by 100. Multiply that by 100 when the complaint is against a civic golden boy like Nygaard. But it couldn't use files to, but it couldn't use the files to file a complaint, obviously, so the file just sat there. It was enraging. I totally believe that 100%. Let me share that with you, Cookie, you blowjob expert at Google. Fuck. I totally believe that. You know what I'm starting to understand? You know what I'm starting to understand? That the police in Winnipeg have a high rate of interference with criminal cases. This has to go to FBI and CIA. I have to get Interpol in England involved in Winnipeg police activity. Are you fucking kidding me? We need to oversee the Winnipeg police force is highly corrupt. Highly, highly corrupt. Let me bring up a recent story in the Winnipeg police here. This is going to blow your mind how corrupt the Winnipeg police force is. Stolen evidence. Winnipeg police officer pleads guilty to stealing iPad. A veteran Winnipeg police officer pleaded guilty to stealing electronics from evidence last year, including an iPad. We don't know. They're just going to say he stole an iPad. He definitely took evidence from the locker that didn't belong to him that they're not reporting. Okay? They wouldn't know because he stole stuff. They caught him way after the fact, and he's only going to admit to a couple items. You understand what I'm saying, right? How many fucking times before this did that single motherfucker steal? Who has the key to the evidence locker at the fucking pig pen right now? You know what I mean? These are facts coming in right now, right? So the evidence locker key is being fucking passed around like a fucking cheap trick at a fucking New Year's Eve party at a local corporation near you, right? So when you know, you know. And, it's people who think they have a lot of money that you probably don't have any. And it's people who don't show or pretend like they have a lot of money who probably have a ton. Now, you wouldn't understand what I said is in low IQ, but I'm going to say this. Some people have more money than they let on, okay? And you can think what you want, but when it comes time to sue you or take you to court, my bankroll is endless. Endless. How big's your bankroll? And you better believe it counts. If in the court of fucking law, it fucking counts how big your bankroll is. But I am ready to take on as many corrupt corporations, rapists. I'm outing as many fucking scummy, high-profile, supposedly prominent rapists since 1980 in Winnipeg that I fucking can. Under the Freedom of Information Act, I'm going to daily post rapist photos in Winnipeg who are prominent officials, politicians, police in Winnipeg. Anyone that I can come across that gets paid publicly, that's a public official, that's a public servant, I'm going to ensure that their criminal charges that they've faced in the past, whether it's rape, whether it's racketeering, whether it's fucking sex trafficking. We need to know if our public officials and our police are corrupt and have had former horrible, horrible charges laid against them, or stayed or settled, which is disgusting. And I just told Cookie, I said, it was misconstrued and you are acting negligently. I will hold Google staff accountable for this. It's a serious offense you're committing knowingly. So they're knowingly, continuously, daily committing the same offense. And that falls on this criminal charge. Let me show you what it's called. You guys think I'm fucking around. I'm here for fucking, I'm winning this. In Canada, no laws exist to protect or harbor criminals in corporations. Bullshit. Rather, specific provisions within the criminal code and other federal statutes establish a corporate liability. So they do cover for them, and they just said it without saying it, and then they said it, okay? But your low IQ prevents you from hearing that. Go back and read more books that are not written by social media celebrities who never wrote the book. Federal statutes establish corporate liability and hold executives accountable for criminal actions undertaken for a corporation's benefit. Amendments to the Criminal Code in 2004, Bill C-45, expanded the legal framework to make it easier to prosecute organizations for criminal offenses. Corporate criminal liability under the Criminal Code. Attributing criminal acts to corporations. Since Bill C-45, an organization is held criminally liable for actions of its employees, agents, and contractors, the criminal act, actus reus, can be attributed to the corporation even if no single directing mind was responsible. So that one is for sure what's happening. Negligence and criminal intent. This is where it gets really serious, because I told them you're knowingly, so that's criminal intent. and its negligence. The law attributes both negligence, mens rea, and a criminal intent to corporations if a senior officer, including directors and CEOs and other policymakers, either act negligently or with criminal intent to benefit the corporation. In both cases, that has been done to me. Knows employees are going to commit a crime, but fails to stop it. So that's also been going on, and I'm going to show you how that is. So the corruption didn't stop with Blowjob Girl there. Cookie was for sure a horrible representative. And Cookie took way too long as well. Dumb bitch. Recent coverage from the Winnipeg Free Press includes arrest and conviction news, reporting on Nygaard's 2024 sexual assault conviction in Toronto and his 11-year prison sentence. Manitoba charges stayed. So, of course, I live in the most corrupt province in Canada. Manitoba charges stayed. Coverage of the 2025 decision by a Winnipeg judge to stay sex crime charges against Nygaard due to police negligence and lost evidence from 1993. Remember what I was telling you about the police locker? The fucking pigs lost evidence to convict a known fucking multi-million-dollar sex trafficking rapist. Oh, whoops, we lost the evidence, rich guy. So we have to make sure that the FBI and the CIA and Interpol and the United Nations shut down the Winnipeg police force. And we can the citizens of Winnipeg cannot trust a police force that is this corrupt. We cannot. We're not going to be policed by fucking police that are needing to be arrested. You understand what I'm saying? Judge acquits vulnerable man. Undercover officers in Mr. Big Sting spent months. At least 18 RCMP officers spent more than 7 months on an elaborate Mr. Big Sting operation that involved getting close to the suspect in a holy fuck, listen to what these pigs did. This is serious. This is entrapment. At least 18 RCMP officers spent more than 7 months on an elaborate Mr. Big Sting. So these are undercover officers. These are plainclothes officers with jobs as police, go into bars and hang out with criminals and do drugs, sell guns. This is the type of lifestyle that you need to fit in with if you're going to try and pretend like you're a bad guy. What the fuck is going on in Canada? At least 18 RCMP officers spent more than 7 months on an elaborate Mr. Big Sting operation that involved getting close to suspect in a cold case murder through going to Canucks games. Oh my God, the police took him to Canucks games. They went skydiving. And they were staging a fake crime scene. Like, fuck. We don't know if it was fake. They'll say it was fake, but they probably had him clean up one of their real crime scenes. Undercover officers posing as a tight-knit group hung out at Kevin Kuo's favorite sports pub in Vancouver to get chummy with him, then slowly invited him to their activities until he was helping them move, again, locked briefcases and cleaning up a hotel room staged to look like something violent had occurred. Details of the sting are laid out in a search warrant, documents obtained from Stqff news agency. The efforts ultimately led to a second-degree murder charge in 2024 against BC resident in 2000, killing Crystal Saunders, a Métis woman whose body was found in a southern Manitoba community. Wow. Getting to the sting was a long and winding road. Years before the charges were laid, police knew Kuo was a 1 in 2.4 trillion match for a DNA found on Saunders' neck. That's weird. Saunders was, what? 2.4 trillion match. So why would they know it's him then? Saunders was last seen in Winnipeg, West End. Oh. In 2014, Kuo's DNA had been entered into an RCMP database while under investigation for sexual assault involving choking. He was later sentenced to 5 years in prison after pleading guilty to sexual assault, assaulting one woman and assaulting another. In 2019, police started digging into him, doing analysis. Saunders' fingernails, which also came up positive for DNA match, though they also found other men's DNA. Whoa, that's weird. Crystal Saunders killed 18-year-old was a beautiful little girl who just got lost. What? This is a. They also devised a sophisticated Mr. Big Sting operation, a controversial technique where undercover officers befriend a suspect. Now, what happens if the undercover officers turn out to be bad people? And then now the bad people have a person inside the police force. That's why it's controversial. Fucking better believe it's already happened. Should we go back and read how many people stole from the evidence locker at Winnipeg Police? Fuck. So something happened where when Trump was elected, I can't really talk about it, but something happened where the politicians here switched and now they're no longer allowed to be as corrupt as they were. I'm fucking serious. So Trump is good, and he changed the fact that he helped Winnipeg become better. You guys out there are lost. You voted Biden and you live in Canada. That's how fucking dumb you are. You guys say Trump is old, and Biden was shitting in a diaper before he was elected president. Trump plays fucking golf. He bangs a 50-year-old woman. Biden takes fucking psyllium fiber before bed at 6 p.m. Fuck off. I find it hilarious, though, that I do see the corruption in politics that has been created by politicians, and it's pretty bad.